Hi there.
Hi. Sorry, you can go.
Okay, this is Max and I'm Tom and we are It Takes a Journey.
It's episode 10 of our van build series and we're talking all about insulation.
It's an exciting topic, so we've gone heavy on the insulation. We did 4 different layers. The first layer being sound deadening so we can keep it quiet in the van.
And layer 2 is our foil-faced adhesive foam. And that is for more insulation and more sound deadening.
Layer 3 is our polyester fleece, which is the main bulk of our thermal insulation to keep us nice and toasty, and we have got an awful lot in this van. Layer 4.
Our fourth layer of insulation is our vapour barrier, and that stops any moisture from getting inside the insulation.
And also, don't forget, it also stops the alien rays.
And it stops alien rays.
Very important. Down below in the description you'll find a link to our blog where Max has been busy making lots of useful information in written form.
Tapping.
And also some nice photography. And there's also a list of products that we use, so you can find anything that we've used here.
Including our
there.
foil-faced adhesive foam.
Say that 10 times.
Foil-faced adhesive foam. Foil-faced adhesive foam. Foil-faced adhesive foam.
You did it.
Episode 11. Next video is solar panels.
Solar panels. How we mounted our solar panels is quite exciting because
Custom.
we did. Yeah, man. Custom. Super light, super low profile, super secure, super cheap.
Super awesome.
Super awesome.
Subscribe if you'd like to see that video. Stick around to the end of the video. We'll be sharing some of our top insulation tips. Save you some time and stress.
If only we could talk to our past selves. That leaves us to say, Max, please stop jibber jabbering and let's just play the video.
Fine, play.
Says Noiko, 2mm 8 sheets, 500 by 760. You basically got to cut these sheets.
They come in these sizes here. So I've just been measuring out for the larger panels. Super easy to do. I've just cleaned the area with some Meths. Measuring. Quite a lot of pressure otherwise. Oh, see, I've already done it wrong. Go.
No bubbles.
My hand is actually made.
Do you want me to pull it? Yeah, it's good. Don't need a wheelie.
Using this snazzy roller and trying to get all the little bubbles to go flat. It's going to take a while.
As you can see, we've put all the sound deadening up.
One job done.
One job done, except for on this panel, because of a window going there. We've got little bits on lots of panels. A little bit in there. We were sort of doing a rudimentary knock test. Might not be able to tell in the camera, but it's like a bass drum which has lost its reverb. Nice and tinny.
It's great.
It makes quite a big difference, right?
It really does. I'm really, really surprised actually. So we didn't have enough to cover every single inch, so we tried to kind of disperse it. Thinner panels on these ones just to get something on it, and it really has worked, even having a little bit. We're putting in 8mm thermal insulation and sound deadening foam in most or as many of the big panels and places that we can. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring up the spot. It's 25. I've been putting all my measurements on a piece of cardboard, but I'll remember that.
What was it?
60. Well, it's because hold on, I've got the measurements here somewhere. 66.
You've forgotten, haven't you?
Yeah. It's because you distracted me.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Quite a satisfying sound. Voila! To prepare the area Just wiped it with some Meths. I did that before. This is all shiny and clean, so it sticks well. So these are the easiest gaps to do. And as I said before, it like moves and...
Mate, that's a good one. Compared to some of your others. Boom!
So,
The aliens won't get us again.
that's it! It's really easy.
Thanks, Max.
Tom has been very busy with this sticky silver stuff. Been doing the roof. He's done the bulkhead. And he's done up there.
Around the edges. And behind there. Pretty happy. And the amount that we've got left of 2 10-metre rolls is pathetic.
Not very much.
Going on here?
It's insulation time.
Ooh.
And apparently it's super soft. And what's cool is that it's made from recycled polyester. Recycling.
So what have
It
you...
is super soft. Feels like a big sheep.
Ooh, that's just...
Made out of polyester. Big polyester sheep. Super soft.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, special lady.
Now what? Rip it apart and put it in the walls. That's what he said.
Pretty much, yeah. We've got one type, but in 2 sizes. So some of it is 50mm thick. Some of it is 100mm thick. So for example, here we've got 50mm stuff, which fills it really nicely. Down here we've got 10mm stuff.
I'm ripping off pieces that I need. It's really easy to rip. You can just big or small and just shoving it in the gaps and then using kind of any sort of long piece of dowel or anything to just make sure I'm getting it in all the corners. Super easy to do the side panels for the insulation. I just held them up to make sure that I cut them to the right size. And then I used the adhesive spray to hold them in place and just tucked away any corners that were kind of sticking out. And you don't want to put too much insulation, otherwise it's going to get in the way of your vapour barriers and your walls. It's super easy, quite a satisfying job, and it feels cosy already.
So we've got annoying vents for us because they basically let the back of the van breathe. So they've got these sort of valves, I suppose, very gravity assisted valves. Air can go out but can't come in, but I'm not exactly sure how effective they are. So because they're going to be within the vapour barrier, I want to block them up. What we've decided to do is use expanding foam. As you would expect, the expanding foam has done its thing. So it's now time to cut it off. We've received some additional insulation so that we can finish off our ceiling, which is bald, our bulkhead, and above the cab. Because everywhere else is done, but we've completely run out, which is quite amazing how much insulation is actually now in this van. We're going to be super toasty.
So currently our van looks like Santa's Grotto.
enemies. Oh, I hate aliens. Oh, beep, beep, boop, boop.
Are you quite finished? We are putting... Hey, trying to tell them about the vapor barrier.
Sorry.
This is our vapor barrier. So our plan is to tape it up like this. So we're using duct tape, and then we're going to do the next section, and then the next section, and the next section, like that. And we figure we can leave the duct tape on, and then we will use aluminium tape to seal up all of the edges. And we've left enough space at the bottom so it overlaps onto the floor, so everything can be nice and sealed. And the whole point of a vapor barrier is...
to keep the vapor out.
Yes, exactly, because apparently aluminium foil is a really good, I can't remember what it's called,
inflammatory. Artillery.
It basically doesn't let anything through, so it won't let any sort of vapor, not even steam through. So when you're cooking and stuff in the van, we're not going to have moisture getting through to the outer bit and
into the clouds,
causing condensation. This is where we've got to. It's now 20 to 7 and we're going to stop before we screw up. The big old pan. Yes, Tom.
I am already a screw up.
No, you're not.
It's too late.
No, you've done great
The time of
things
the
in
day
this
doesn't
van.
make any difference.
No, because we did a huge panel that covered this and then that. But the problem we had was we thought, oh, we'll be clever and we'll use the staple gun. Problem is, when there's too much weight on the staple gun, it starts to pull out the staples, and we...
Did that hit you?
He just fired a staple at me.
I wonder what would happen.
Wow, he's just a total maverick.
Do I win maverick status today?
No, that was just insensitive and harsh.
Oh.
So anyway, we had one piece covering here to here, but the staples were pulling out. So we ripped it down, we started again, because we wanted to make sure that there wasn't a million holes caused by staples that we had to then cover up. So now we have done this piece as a single piece, and then that piece as a single piece.
Tell you what, this insulation works wonders because I'm bloody warm.
We've done this vent, and now it's time to do this vent, but there's too much insulation around it.
Too much insulation. What a problem to have.
I know, so we are peeling it off. Luckily it peels off nicely.
It does, it peels off.
And we are making that a little bit shorter, thinner.
Narrower.
Make it a bit thinner.
Thinner?
Thinner.
Less poofy.
Let's poofy. Less poofy. Let's poofy.
Let's poofy.
We've put duct tape before we've stapled, and then so it just kind of keeps it in place, otherwise it rips through the vapor barrier. We did around the little window. It's a pain in the butt. Window pane is pain.
What have you made?
A big present.
Ooh, it's so shiny. That one's so much neater.
And it's not even that neat, so you can imagine what that one looked like.
Yeah, no, that one was quite a mess. It was more silver tape than anything.
This stuff is a nightmare. This stuff, nightmare. This stuff is a nightmare.
I think we've decided that vapor barrieing is the most tedious job so far. Thanks for watching. Hope you found that helpful. If you did, please hit the like button because that really helps us out.
And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below.
We're always up for a good old van chat. Van chat's a good chat.
Some of our top tips for insulation are: tip number 1. When you are measuring out your kind of pieces on your foil-faced adhesive foam, you can measure out a few at one time so it maximises the space, you're not left with loads of offcuts.
Tip number 2. Make sure you don't put any fleece lining where you're going to need to access things in the future, like where the lights are and where the mechanical bits for the doors are, because it'll only get in the way and cause issues later.
So what we actually did is put in a foam board into some of the areas that we're going to need to access. Tip number 3. When you are putting your vapor barrier on, make sure that when you're taping your aluminium tape, you are keeping the edges very, very nice and tight, so that when you put your cladding on, you're not going to break through your vapor barrier or your tape, because the tape is quite sensitive.
It's sensitive tape. It's got feelings.
Good tape is quite fragile.
Tip number 4 is you can leave your vapour barrier fairly loose. You don't need to have it really tight up to every corner and crevice, because all that happens is you do one bit tight and then you push on another corner and it ends up
busting loose.
Yeah, it ends up being too tight and pulling out the corner.
Tip number 5.
What's tip number 5?
Don't put too much insulation in.
Oh yeah.
Insulation. Don't put too much insulation in. Because when you come to put your vapour barrier on, it's going to get in the way. So yes, put a lot in, but don't go crazy like we did, because we had to start ripping into Gloria's guts.
And also, you don't want to compress it. If you put too much in and you're going to compress it, actually that isn't any good for the insulation.
It's not doing its job.
You want the air pockets is a really important part of it. So if you're squeezing lots into a gap, that's not going to help at all. In fact, it's going to have the adverse effect and be useless. Tip number 6.
Whoa, I can't do that one.
Put your vapour barrier out when it's dry, because you don't want to trap any moisture in your vapour barrier.
Oh, no you don't.
And the other thing is, when you're putting screws into the wood and you're popping through your vapour barrier, your screws are actually filling up the hole, so you don't need to worry about busting your vapour barriers.
I think that's all the top tips that we can manage.
Well, we hope to see you next time on our solar panel mountain adventure.
Mountain or mounting?
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye. She's hiding. I know you're in there. I know you're in there.
I'm not. Maxine's not here.
This is a message from Maxine. Please, can you come out from behind the vapour barrier and help me do some work?
I'm so tired of vapour barrier.
You do have to go to school, yes.